Good morning, Brandon and Calvin, if you're watching. It's Friday the 16th, January. I want to go over some stuff that's, in my opinion, will be helpful in an undercurrent way. So I'm going to give you some history that you may be able to identify with some of it and sort of energetically connect some dots. Oh, okay, type. Um, and the purpose of the history is ultimately to assist you in your energetic stance on life. Okay, if if you're doing career change, Brandon, which leaving the Navy and whatever you're doing now, which I'm guessing is getting another degree, but I don't know that. Whatever you're doing, and Calvin, uh, similarly, uh, I saw somewhere. Anyway, whatever you're doing, I want to help you identify with some stuff I did. Um, at age 30, I told Oprah, "I'm sorry, but I'm miserable working here at Strain Brothers, and I need to go do something else." And I'd already left once in '82 or '83, and I went to work for a consulting engineer who was a lazy quack. And I'm not saying he couldn't do work. He did do consulting work, but he'd take me to the golf range with him and have me shag his balls and stuff. Just bullshit. And after 6 months with that guy, I decided Opa wasn't too bad, and he let me come back. That was in '82 or so, maybe '83. The reason I was miserable is Opa was just like an emotional vacuum cleaner. And Oma helped spoil him this way. Granddaddy Bob Davidson worked hard to emotionally lift you and others up. Hello, how you doing, Brandon? That kind of energy. Opa had the opposite of that. And it was just, and I didn't have the language for it, but it was just like a siphon. Um, I went, and I'm going to get around to you, so just bear with me. I was fun to be around because I accommodated him. He loved having me around. I accommodated him. I kissed his ass. I took a vacation with him to Scotland one time. I'm glad I went. But Oma was always pushing on what gave her man a warm fuzzy. Didn't matter how horrible it was to anybody else. That was her agenda. And she said, when we got back, your daddy had a great time. You ought to do that again. I said, I'll never take another vacation with that guy because it's not a vacation. It's a babysitting job. You've got him so spoiled, he's impossible to be with. He wants you to do the driving. He wants you to find shit in his suitcase because he didn't pack a suitcase. His wife packed a suitcase. So he wants you to help, just why, 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 why. He wasn't a grown up. He was always manipulated things that way to get you to wait on him in some way. And of course, she angrily screamed at me, "He's the only husband I've got. I think I'll keep him." Well, that was her confession. She did all that doting and spoiling as a form of control through pillow fluffing. Of course, when he went home and told Oma, she figured out a way to manipulate me to offer him to sell me the company, and it worked. And I took the bait and I stayed, and they got to have some grandkids around there, and that wasn't about me. That was about them. Them manipulating me to gratify them. Now, where that ties into you is if I had made that change, I'm don't know what I'd have done. We'll see what happened. My affinity was engineering systems, which is computers and stuff. The best professor I had at A&M was Harry Jones, who taught engineering systems, and I couldn't believe the power of that stuff. And I learned on punch cards. Golly, am I old. But who knows? And it worked like it worked, and I got 4 good sons out of the way it happened. So everything's fine. But my point is sort of early midlife career changes. Um, so you sort of plan a career, and then you go where life takes you. Um, this happens and that happens, and you know, uh, having a plan helps, but being nimble and deviating from the plan is really what life usually where it takes us, and that's healthy. Because not having a plan just gets you tossed around here and there. But I wanted to tell you all that. Of course, when I did take over the company, it was a horrible time for that business, and a lot of people went under, a lot of people folded, and my kinfolks didn't have a choice. My cousins Steve and Kent, they didn't know anything else to do. They survived because they had to, and now they're prospering. Of course, Steve just died a year and a half ago, and it's not entirely happy. It looks good on the outside, but it's not entirely happy. There's a lot of inner conflict and stuff. Family conflict, imagine that. But enjoying your life internally, emotionally and stuff, and enjoying your career is important. And I hope y'all are finding ways to do that. And I'm glad that you have money coming from the Strains that allows you to spend time with your family and not entirely doing total career. My dad, Opa, was successful at what he spent his time at, which was not his son's. He would give you his time only if you were first given of yourself to him. Which is why he didn't spend any time with David. David never gave anything to our dad. He just wondered why our dad didn't give it back to him of his time. David asked me one time, why does our dad invite Ralph, Claire's husband, trout fishing and not me? That's easy. You won't kiss his ass. Claire trained him to kiss his ass. So I'm sure Ralph got the gear ready and pampered him. But whatever you're doing, you can do it, Calvin. You got a good brain and a good personality and a good approachability and a lot of good education. You probably got more accounting than any of your brothers, and you need that to look and see if you're making money or not, But and Brandon, I'm guessing you're looking back and going, a degree in math? What'd I do that for? My cousin Sydney, years ago, decades ago, said, you got a degree in engineering, you can do something with that. She got her degree in Parks and Recreation or something, you know what I'm saying? So, the grandfather who built the wealth, both of them, the Shooks and the Strains, but the Strain who was really focused on the status. My grandfather Shook wasn't focused on status externally. He may have been kind of secretly in his heart. But my grandfather Shook was more, let's have a ranch close by and let's go out there every day. While my grandfather Strain was more, let's show off and have a bunch of ranches, because he had one in Oklahoma, one in Mexico, one in Big, But he had two brothers helping him. My grandfather Strain's youngest brother handled all of his ranching for him. But my point is about joy and happiness in your heart and in your family. The only time my grandfather Strain has pictures of him smiling is when he's on one of those ranches and he's with his sisters. It wasn't with his wife. They were too busy she was too busy being snooty, and she was good at picking things out, dresses and getting the home looking nice. She's good at all that, and all that's fine. But it's not a good thing as a primary focus. And I know y'all know that. That's important to know. Go get them. Whatever you're doing, go get them.